We're living in a world of change now like most of us have never seen. There's so many things going on in the world at every different level and throughout the world that are so challenging. Not only the coronavirus, but what's happening economically, what's happening in other countries, potential wars, and on it goes. Because of the virus situation, we've been separated from people a lot more. We don't work in the office with them like we used to. We don't see friends as often as we did, maybe beginning to change now. But we have all those kind of experiences, or in need of something more connection, and it brings a lot of tension, a lot of stress for us, all these significant changes. Now, one thing we don't realize is that we're in charge of how we see and interpret everything. We think that what we're seeing is a pure objective thing, and now we know from the science of quantum physics that that's just not true. There's no such thing as a purely objective reality. We all see through the tinted eyeglasses of the past. We give our interpretation to everything we see. We give interpretation about every person and their behavior based on what our programming was as a little kid. And if we were criticized a lot, I'm more likely to pick somebody who's more in that direction than I grew up to pick that kind of person as a partner. And then I'm upset because that person's being critical. But we're not seeing that I have the power of choice, and I've picked someone who play out the very thing I didn't like as a child. So what we really need to do is to be able to do that reflection on ourselves to see if we're creating the world that we're wanting to help create, or if our old programming is playing some kind of a role in creating what I don't like, whether it's about my relationships or my economics or my job or my relationships or whatever it might be. How much am I contributing to that? Because we're literally, as they say now, I'm not a victim of the world I see, because I'm giving my interpretation and my meaning to everything I see. And that affects what happens to me as a result of that, or what I experience as a result of it. And that can make the relationship a happy one or a miserable one, where I feel a lot of love or I feel an absence and deprivation. And so I need to have the experience of looking inside myself and seeing how I've been creating the world I don't like. And if I can get that identified and make those changes to deactivate those childhood experiences, to deactivate the beliefs that I developed about myself and the world that I don't like, that grew out of that. If I can change those, then I'm going to attract very different things in people and relationships and other circumstances in the world. But we don't let ourselves mostly own that power. We put it outside ourselves, and we blame somebody else for not saying what we thought they should say, or doing what we think they shouldn't have done, or should do this instead. And we think the power is outside us and the others. And all we're doing is perpetuating our experience of not feeling good, and not having a close, loving relationship, and not feeling that I am love, or I'm being love, or I'm attracting love. We miss that because we're not seeing the source of it. And we need to do the reflection on ourselves in order to get to the source of the problem. And the good news is now there are new tools available that help us do that more quickly and much more efficiently than we had in the field of psychotherapy before. Those that have emerged over the last decade or two are a lot more helpful in getting to the background or the source of a lot of these things that we used to always just put the blame on somebody else for. Certainly, if you'd like to learn more about these methods or these tools or the combinations of them and how they work, I'll be glad to talk with you about it. You could contact me by phone or by email, or you could call me and we can make an appointment or two and we could discuss it more in relation to your area, your issues, your problem areas, and what would be effective for you to do together. So I'd be happy to explore those things with you. I have people who want to come in person can see me in New York City or in Westport, Connecticut. Others may prefer to have session by Zoom or telephone or FaceTime or things like that. So that's possible too, especially during this coronavirus situation. So whatever works for you is I'm open to explore with you. But I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have about what this therapy is like.